Welcome to Enchanted Moments Podcast. I'm Monica,
I'm Spencer.
and today we're going to continue our discussion about creating our soul vision for 2026. We did some different exercises that you could do to review 2025 and honor what has happened. And so we're going to repeat just a little bit here because I found this amazing sacred scroll exercise. And it really, I don't know, it just seemed like it was a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried it, and it does indeed give you a different perspective. What you do is you go to all your photos on your phone and you scroll through 2025, and sometimes it is giving you a different perspective because we tend to have this overwhelming feeling about certain things, or 2025 was so terrible, but then you find these wonderful moments that you took pictures of. Hi, Tank. I know. I know, our little boy here. You never come and see us when we do podcasts, and he's leaving. Anyway, sorry. The moments that you find while scrolling through your pictures, you should make notes of, just because of the memories that they bring out, and all it gives you some joy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything wasn't terrible.
Good reminders.
Right. They are good reminders. And sometimes we just need to honor those memorable moments that brought us joy. So try that when you're in your process of doing your visions for 2026. The other thing that we need to look at is what were our challenges, what weren't challenges. So when you had a challenge, how did you go through that? And make some notes about that. Bye. And also the things that brought you joy. Want to make sure we honor those. The things that we learned, sometimes the hard way, other times they were just brilliant moments of excitement. So we need to make sure we do those. Also, we had plans for 2025, so note what was going as planned, what didn't quite go as planned, and what we could have done differently to enhance that. What did someone or something do for you as nourishment? Where did you get support? And when you're setting our vision for 2026, we need to make sure that we are honoring those things that do give us support and nourishment, and those people. So if someone was draining, we really need to make the decision to not include them in your next year's activities unless you're up for it, right? But if those things are just continuously draining you, then someone needs to go, or at least less of their time devoted to those. And I think you should do a 3-card oracle deck pick so that you do a past, present, and future. So what occurred in 2025? Where are you now? What's that overall position you're playing in your current self? And then what you want to bring in for 2026. And so using an oracle deck is easier, I think, than a tarot deck for that, because it tends to give you broader suggestions than a very specific card. So try that, and then you kind of have to look at what it's saying for 2026, whether you want to incorporate that into your vision. So we know what we want to let go of. We know what no longer served us. We know what we want to keep doing, because those are all the positive things, right? So call your soul into the present moment. We talked about going out on the soul thread, looking at the past, going forward 5 years, coming back a year, and having your higher self tell you what your soul vision should be. That's great. So now we want to create that vision and create an affirmation for the vision, right? So we have choices. we have created space for new things to come in. And it's always difficult to create an affirmation, because when I see affirmations out there, it's always, I am becoming.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's like we don't want to be becoming, we want to be, and affirm that we've already accomplished that, because then it takes root in our higher self, in our minds, in our unconscious mind, and we act that way, right? So
Tomorrow
we don't.
never comes.
Yeah, tomorrow never comes, and becoming never comes, because it's just. So if you you want to be artistic, and be more creative, if that's one of your visions for 2026, you don't want to say I'm becoming more artistic. You want to say I am creating art daily, or I am creating art that reflects what my vision is for 2026, or whatever. But you are in the process of doing it actively, not something that's coming to you in that future. And when you state those affirmations, the really cool thing is you should feel that soul saying yes. It's subtle. It's kind of like when we stand and we wait for our higher self to tell us if it's yes or no. Sometimes it's a really subtle feeling, but state what you want to come to fruition in 2026 in that positive way, and then wait for that feeling. If you're not really getting a strong yes, I think that's a great idea for you for 2026, then go back and rework some of these things and see what really is a different aspect for you to work on. Also, we need to pick a word for 2026. Now you can do that yourself. And there's some suggestions. They have like ecstasy, grace, discernment, presence, patience, whatever that word is. Sometimes we just have a difficult time doing that. So there are some really cool decks out there that give you simple words, and I would use one of those and just kind of ask your higher self to choose one for you if you don't have a very strong feeling of what you should have for 2026. I think for me, I need to devote more time to discernment. So although sometimes I think I'm pretty good at it, I really believe that there's need for higher discernment. So I'm going to set my soul vision for 2026 to be mostly about things that will contribute to encouraging my better discernment. So oracle readings for myself more frequently, meditating and asking for what I can do to add to the discernment. Although meditation is definitely one thing that will, right? But asking during those sessions what will add to the value of my discernment. So those are some things you can do. And then some people are more visual. So I've been reading that drawing a symbol for your year ahead is sometimes helpful. I am not, as we well know, a very artistic form as drawing. You know, I like to see things that are artistic, but I cannot draw unless we want a stick figure for 2026. I'm kind of out there. So, but some people are extraordinarily creative, and their visions come through their art and their drawing and their putting things on paper. It doesn't have to be something you actually draw. You could pick a piece of art. So if you are drawn to a specific piece of art, keep that on your altar, keep that by your computer, next to your bed, whatever, and then you can always change it later. But if there's something in that that's saying this to you, you know, something that's bringing you soul yes, then definitely add that. You can create a little collage. You can do a soul collage piece, or you can just cut pictures out of magazines, and if you see a beautiful sunset picture in National Geographic, rip it out and put it someplace that, you know, those are special things for you, and maybe that's contributing to your peace. So you have to look at everything in your world and make sure that it is contributing to your highest good. As we well know, we bring things in and we add things all the time, and sometimes they're just noise. You know, we had to be a little bit careful about what we are using in our world, and here she comes again, to add, to build, to layer the things that you bring in need in your life. Sometimes we just bring in, you know, noise. And we all do it. It's not a terrible thing, but at some point we need to go through everything that we have, you know, think that is adding to our higher self and kind of like trim it down. Add later, but you know, you can't do it all at once. It's like saying, I'm gonna make 5 altars in my house and do them all at once. You know, okay.
Get one done.
It's a nice action and you can do it, but then go back and revisit those things. It's, you know, nothing is etched in stone, and we need to be more flexible. So those are some things. And then I think we should go to what is our wildest dream for 2026. You know, we get kind of boring, especially when we think of spirituality. We think, you know, it has to be something different. I don't know. I've been thinking about that for days. What's my wildest dream for 2026? I don't know yet, but I'm more than willing to put some seeds out there to try to find it, because, you know, when we plant these ideas, they're just like seeds. And if we think of ourselves in terms of nature, then we put those seeds out there, and it's the beginning of a one cycle, right? So we have 10 years to bring some of these things to fruition, or 9 years, whatever, to bring everything in that we think we need for the future. So throw all the seeds out there. Some are going to grow faster, some are going to need more time to germinate, some are going to add right away. You just have to kind of toss them out there, put some food on them, water them occasionally, but visit those seeds. Think about those. You know, that's why we journal and we write things down, so that we can look back and say, oh, well, that's already there. You know, I've already really mastered that, or it's an accomplishment, or I am meditating 5 minutes a day now. And, you know, so you can think, what new seed can I throw out there, because we all need more to do. But that's definitely a way we should get into the future there. I love the fact that we definitely are in that 1 year. It's very energizing on some level for me that it's out there ready to go. And don't ever think your soul goals are too big or too small or too loud or too quiet. They're your goals, and your soul knows exactly what you need to do first. And so as long as we are still getting that affirmation from our soul that that's a yes, then keep going in that direction. Doesn't mean you can't change directions later. So if in 9 months you've really come to grips with something, or you've found something else that definitely needs some soul work done, you know, we don't like to address our shadow selves, but things come up, and just add that. And it's, do a revision quarterly if you want to. If you need a time frame, quarterly is probably good. Monthly might be a little too much because we get tied up in things and they go fast, and we don't have enough energy to do it every month. So I would say quarterly, and look at those and see if they still resonate. If they don't, then let's change some things, reduce the list, add to the list, whatever works for you. More love. We need more love. And that's the other thing is, I think everyone should have on their soul vision and goals to work from the heart. Every single person who is channeling now, who is looking at what's coming, is saying that is absolutely where we need to be. We have to start, if we're not already, working from the heart. We get into our heads, we start to intellectualize everything, And yes, we're intelligent people. You know, we think things through. For the most part, we make, you know, rational decisions. We need to take that heart into account more often than we do. And, you know, our little animal friends here just go with it all the time. We don't. So they don't get caught up in their heads. We get caught up in our heads. Keep that heart active. Bring that thought process down to the heart and allow yourself to feel through your decisions, not just think through your decisions. Sometimes before we say things, we just need to, yes, it needs to be said. Maybe I need to say it a different way. Maybe I need to think it's not the right time that right now. Maybe, but it's not that we don't want to speak our truth. It's not that we don't want to be the person we are, authentic and true to ourselves. We may need to temper how we approach things, and that's not a bad thing. And it doesn't deteriorate your action. It doesn't limit it. It doesn't make it less powerful. It just takes into account everything. And sometimes our brains don't. So yes, I want everybody to be authentic. I want to speak your truth. Stand up for yourself and your beliefs. Do it from the heart. And that's a different perspective of taking action. And it's something I think that in 2026 we all need to do. There's some interesting things that I think are going to come out in the next few years, and we need to be ready for those things. You know, we need to make sure our consciousness is operating at a level that is going to be easily ready for ascension, that we will be going into fourth and fifth dimensional consciousness so that we're ready to go. We don't need to be thrown there, you know. I think at some point there's a tipping point. We're all going to go. When? I don't know. But I'd rather be on the forefront. I'd rather be one of the people who is on their way and leading into that perspective and consciousness level, rather than the person that I'm dragging, kicking and screaming behind me. And there will be. I think there's no doubt that we will all make that transition. I really believe that the third dimensional earth level will move up. Something else will move in to take its place. But there's, you know, we know our layers of dimension are everywhere, right? So it's not that it's going to go somewhere else. It's just that in this earth plane, we have layers. We're just all going to go up there. It's just a question of how and when. And I think that the more we accept that higher level of consciousness is really a good for everyone, that we're ready. We just need to be ready. And you'll find that sometimes when you least expect it, you're going to feel lighter. And I think that's just sort of a hint that our density is going to change. I know that sounds weird, but I just believe that we're going to be closer to a lighter density. So many beings exist in different dimensions that are of many different densities and frequencies. So it makes sense to me that eventually our frequency and our density will change. And it's not going to be like we're all going to be invisible or, you know, translucent. It's more of an energetic thing. And I think, you know, so listen to higher frequency music, listen to different tones that are going to raise your frequency, read things that are going to make you think, but also challenge your thought processes. There's so much material out there that discernment is really important, because some of it kind of seems not quite right to me. But then, you know, we all read something and then months later or years later, whatever, go back and read it again, and then it makes sense, right? So it's not that it's wrong, it's just that it's not the right time for you, or it's not the right time for that particular concept to be brought into reality. There's always people that are visionary and ahead of the timeline. So it's not that they're crazy or anything else, it's just sometimes we're not ready for that.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
just know that, and not be critical, but bring it in when it's ready to be brought in. So I'm ready. I'm ready for all the strange things to start happening. But think about that. Get your soul goals put down on paper. If you need to go back and revisit 2025 one more time, try the scroll method through your pictures. That gives you a little bit different perspective than when you think through all the things that have happened through the year. So use everything you have. Be creative and get those goals down, those visions down on paper, and start working towards those. I think that's the most important thing now.
Mhm.
Right? Right. Thanks for joining us. We will meet with you soon and get those goals down and make them as light and happy as possible. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.